everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore.
coming at you.
A little under the weather.
Yeah, Devin's a little under the weather. And,
Can't tell on camera, probably.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe you can. But, yeah, so we just wanted to say welcome, baby, to the video. And he's like, hey,
buddy,
I want to be in the video too. So first, we just wanted to say a big thank you again for everybody who continues to support us. We just so appreciate each and every one of your gift.
Can't say it enough.
It is such a blessing to us and our family. So again, a big thank you. And so for today, we just kind of wanted to share, I think, some hodgepodge things that we've been getting from the Lord, or just things that we just wanted to share. And so
it might encourage you.
Yeah. Did you want to go ahead and just start off? And
so basically we've been going through, when we first got to Nashville, that was December 18th. And we walked into our hotel room, and it was right at 8:44. And the last 3 nights in a row, not including last night, so the 3 nights before that, we would end our God times, and I would come, hi. We would come out of the bathroom, and it would be 8:44. And then the first night, I was like, oh, wow, we ended our God time, go to the bathroom, come out, oh, it's 8:44, cool. That happened 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
And during that process, I think 2 of those nights, or just 2 of those times of those days, we were really kind of solidifying some vision with the corporation that we've partnered with. And it was just like, wow, I really feel like some things have been ratcheted in and some things have come to completion.
Yeah.
So we had to switch positions.
Yes.
Because the baby wanted to get down and he's going to just mess with the tripod. But anyway, as I was saying, I really felt like some things were ratcheted in with the vision and all that with the corporation and that we partnered with. And that's that piece. Okay, these are puzzle pieces. We're going to put together a little picture for you. But then it's like, when we first got here, we pretty much got sick, like
literally within
the first week.
Oh yeah, when we
here.
first moved to.
We were sick on Christmas Day. And we thought that was going to be a better Christmas, but whatever. But we haven't been sick since then.
Well, and we got sick right when we were first here. We had like a week off, and then everybody got really sick in January.
And I didn't. And the Lord told me I wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, and that was during that time when God gave me that prophetic word about the vindication of the Lord and all that. That was just an awesome word. Even if you watch that video, you can see Michelle just like, I'm here, but I'm sick.
Yeah.
And so we've been through all these places without being sick.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Hotels, Airbnbs, all that, without being sick. And it was just like, and then we had to go to room 101. We had to leave this place, go to room 101 at our old stomping ground. And God was like, I'm leaving this behind. I'm moving you guys to a new thing. And I'm like, okay, Lord, we got it.
Yeah.
We got the new thing, man. We're good. We're ready.
Yeah.
But God, He will speak when He wants, how He wants, however much He wants to speak about a certain thing.
Yeah.
If He wants to tell us 57 times, go ahead. We're okay with that. But it's like, but then coming back here, it's like the 39th place. And before we even came back here, Michelle was like, what's the number 39 mean again in our little research document that we usually reference? I was like, that's the number of infirmity.
And I was like,
you were like, uh-oh.
Great.
Uh-oh. And then because Elijah, as soon as he got back, he got hit with it heavy. He got hit with it the hardest.
Yeah.
I think because he was prophesying, God gave him the 101, and he started just prophesying things that were like, this is, I don't know, he started really moving in the spirit. And he started doing that again recently, the last couple nights, and it's just like, wow. And I think it was sickness, but it was part of an attack of the enemy as well, and it was almost like, this is not going to end in death. This is not going to end in.
Yeah.
This is not going to end in anything bad. The intention of the enemy to even start a little something. That's all it's going to be, is a little something.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, this illness that we're going through, it is very much a little something.
Yeah.
It's very little. It's very minor. It's like little, it's just very little. It's like a little cold.
Yeah.
You know? So, and then Annalise got it, and now it's hitting me, and other 3 it hasn't happened. I'm just like, wow. I was like, Lord, like Michelle, like you were teaching Michelle there, what are we supposed to learn in all this? What's going on? And I felt like when I first saw those 844s 3 times in a row as I'm coming out of the bathroom, right directly after God time, both times, it was like, hey, I want to try to get your attention. God does that. He does a lot of things to try to get us our attention. Why a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night? Why? You know, there's so many whys that you can ask about God's ways and how he did things in the past. But because it's in the Bible, we accept it. But it's like, if that same God, by the same Spirit, does oddball things now, we want to scrutinize it, even as believers. Anyway, who are you believing? You're believing in a God that's just infinitely creative, beyond our wildest imaginations, but we want to put him in the box and tell him, nope, this is God right here. This is how God moves. It's like, oh, that's how I move? Well, then that's exactly how I'm not going to move in your life. No, he won't do that. He's just going to be like, I'm just going to move how I'm going to move. You're either going to recognize it or not. You know? And so I recognized that God was trying to say something through the 844, and I was like, what are you saying, Lord? And now for me, I always pay attention to like the first impression or the first sense I get that I feel like is from the Lord. And that first sense I got from the Lord was like, you've come full circle. You've come full circle. And then he reminded me of that time. And we haven't got, 844 has not been a number this whole time we've been here.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been. And 3 nights in a row. And then when we got here at night at 8:44. I was just like, wow, you've come full circle. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I just let it process, you know, the constant process of processing. I let it process, and I'm like, okay. And then we all started getting sick. And now listen, I know a lot of people, even Michelle, would not necessarily consider it some sort of prophetic sign or symbolism or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the Lord is doing something. I mean, obviously.
But for me, I see it as a symbol, like, yeah, this is a sign of the end, because as soon as we got here, we're like, yay, we're here, and then we get sick. And I was like, we've come full circle, yay, we've come full circle, and now we're getting sick. And it's almost like all of it kind of wraps up. It's okay to think differently. That's what's so great about the body of Jesus Christ. We all think differently, but it's the same Lord Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saying you're denying it or rejecting the idea. It's just you have a different angle that the Lord's using for you.
Yeah.
That's what's so great. See, we come together and we see a bigger picture. We're not separated into divisions because God's showing one person this and one person that, and then we build a whole ministry, 2 separate ministries off of it, type of thing. You know, it's just like we come together and we see, oh, this is what God's doing. This is what he's saying. And it's amazing. And so there's that piece. It's like, I feel like, wow, this is really like, because I was thinking, now this is just going to be a random thing as well. I was just thinking like, Lord, this is really awesome. This like really light sickness type thing that we're going through. It's like, yes, I did. I was like, this is actually really awesome, because when we go to Disney World for our little signing bonus thing with the corporation, you know, it's like the chances of us getting sick while we're there are really slim. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking, that was one of my concerns. I was like, man, I hope we don't go to Disney and just all this, you know, Disney, and we get sick. That would be terrible. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I almost feel like this might be an answer to it. Maybe. It's just an idea. Random. You know what I mean? So that's kind of just where I think we're at. You know, it's just like we're at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the 39th place. I don't know if we'll have to do like a 40th place and then launch from there or something. You know, because, you know, if things break, because things could break and our lives could change literally while we're here in this room at the end.
Yeah.
Then we might have to go to another place while things are being taken care of at the home that's being set up, and then from there, you know, we don't even try to figure this stuff out really.
Yeah.
You know, or we shouldn't. We try not to. Sometimes we get caught in the vortex, but yeah. But that's just kind of some of the things that I was thinking of in my hodgepodge of processing, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, because I did recognize, like, right away, like, okay, this is the 39th place, and I was just like, oh, Lord. And that's honestly, like I shared in the last video, when I woke up and I was just praying, like, can we please be done with this? It was because Elia had already been sick, Annalise was getting sick, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to deal with sickness. Like, it's not fun when everybody gets sick, and
especially certain ones.
And
oh man.
and so it was like, but then God was like, no, I want you to grow through this. And so when I was looking and researching and all of that, and it was just like the verse that was highlighted to me, I think, like I said before, was I think it's 2 Chronicles, I forget where it is, but basically, the king gets sick, but he doesn't seek the Lord. And
King Asa.
Yeah, King Asa.
He gets diseased in his feet.
And so I was just like, so I had been praying, like, Lord, well, what disease or infirmities do we have? And I feel like for me personally, like this week, like God has really kind of shown me, like, just like, I guess you can consider infirmities just in the way that I process through things. And a lot of times,
behavior patterns that are kind of very, like, cancerous.
Yeah.
Very bad. Like,
and
you can't take that with you, kind of thing. Yeah.
And so it was just like, but what was really the root? Well, the root is that it's an area where, like, a lot of times when I process, I internalize and things like that. But the problem with that is I don't necessarily go straight to God all the time. And I think that I was reminded of that this morning, of just like, hey, I really just need to make sure that I'm not just processing in my mind, thinking I'm bringing the Lord in it, but not really.
Yeah.
And so, because I don't want to do that where it's like, I just went out and, like King Asa, he just went out and sought after physicians instead of seeking the Lord in those particular situations. And in this case,
it's you're the physician, your soul, your mind, like, your will, your emotions, your ability to...
How can we figure this out? Yeah. How can I bring this thing to rest and stuff like that in my heart? And so I feel like God was just kind of showing me that. And then just another thing that I really feel like kind of brings, I think, some freedom for me this morning was just, as many of you know, I'm just an emotional person, and I think there are a lot of people who can relate to me of just,
which
like,
isn't bad.
That your emotions, like, you can, but like the emotions can get you caught into really just down times, or especially when it's like things don't make sense, or the enemy can come in and all of that. And I think I've struggled so much because there's this part of me that just really thinks, like, well, you should just come out of it, get over it, and then keep going. And so when it doesn't happen like that, when I'm like, well, Lord, I am declaring, or I am trying to make changes, and nothing, it's like the emotions are still just heavy or whatever, it's like, then it's like you can have on top of that this feeling of like, man, I'm doing something wrong because things aren't changing. So I was just reminded of this picture of when either like a lighthouse or something in a storm, or even something that can be like the waves and things can come against it, or even a tree in a storm or anything like that. And if you picture your emotions as a storm, I think sometimes that really, it's almost like God's just like, sometimes you just need to stand. It's like just like don't say anything. Don't try and be something. Don't stand.
Try to vent.
Yeah, don't
in
vent.
The form of, I don't know, some healthy psychological thing.
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Just stay at peace, really. Mm-hmm. It's just stay at peace. And I was reminded of, there's, I guess, like a famous painting when somebody was asked to paint a picture of peace. And it was basically this bird that was inside its nest, inside like a tree. And like everything around it was just stormy. But it was sleeping in this tree, and it's like
I was actually singing.
Or singing.
Remember?
Yeah, and so
singing.
it's just like it's at peace, at rest, even though all of this storm is going on. And so I think for me it was just like, oh, sometimes that's all I need to do. Like, sure, there's, maybe my thoughts are going crazy, but instead of trying to figure things out or try and do anything, all I need to do is just be at peace and stand in what I already know, and just listen for the voice of God. Because for me personally, it's very difficult to hear the voice of the Lord when all this stuff in my mind is going on. It's like God kind of can get drowned out. And even if I'm crying out for help, it's really hard for me to receive or even hear the help that God is sending.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's like, hey, well, you know what? Just be at peace. Just stand firm, because the truth is the storm is going to pass. Yeah. The emotions are going to subside.
Just don't get carried away with it.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of the storm.
And I think for so long I see these, like, the storm comes and I try and get out of the storm, but the fact is truly I'm actually just being carried away by the storm.
Or you try to control it.
Yeah.
You try to do the Storm from the X-Men. This is not working. My powers are not working.
Yeah.
Like,
and so I guess for
I'm
me,
decreeing, I'm prophesying.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this stuff. Why is it not working?
Yeah.
Peace, be still. And the winds come along and start punching it.
Yeah.
It's like, it worked for Jesus. Why is it not? Oh, I don't have faith. That's why.
Yeah.
Just see, I'm a terrible Christian. And there you go.
Yeah. And so I think it was just like, oh, wow.
Well, you just want help.
Like, okay, Lord, like, yes, it's so good. I think especially for me. So even for, like, our son, I was thinking about him because he's very much like me. And I think a lot of times, like, when you, on the outside going in, when you see people and they're struggling emotionally, you're just like, come on, get over it. But I think...
Or you want to be like, oh...
Yeah.
Sometimes that's some people's response,
But I think ultimately, like, I think for me, God's just like, you know what? I just want you
Put it down.
Just stand.
Parenting while you're doing the video, it's just gonna happen. That's why you see the little editing cuts sometimes.
So I just think that for me personally, like, God's just like, hey, you don't always have to be trying to get out of the storm. And again, it goes back to just kind of what God was showing me at the beginning of the week. It's like, I'm here with you to go with you through things. And sometimes that going through it is just standing. It's just being like a lighthouse, and there's wind and waves crashing against it, but it doesn't move. It's not, sure, it feels all of those things, but it's just feelings. And it's specific to the emotions, and so not getting swept away either way, and just standing firm and knowing that God's with me right there, going, all right, just want you to stand. It's like, okay.
It's kind of been the theme all week, right?
Yeah.
When you woke up that one day and you're like, I'm not going to pray a rescue prayer. God, what are you trying to show me through all this?
Yeah.
And it's kind of been like the thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen it in our own kids too. So what is God saying? Like, I mean, when I say that, we see it in our own kids. It's like we're in a place of infirmity being cleansed.
Yeah.
We're in a place of things really coming to a final conclusion point. We talked about this yesterday about, like, man, stop trying to figure out the timing. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. Don't try to figure out the timing. You have to be secure in knowing that you're in the hands of God and there is no safer place.
Yeah.
There's some stuff with our daughter. There's some stuff with our two boys. Isaiah, he's just awesome. But there's some stuff with our boys, you can tell it's being cleansed. And there is, just as you prophesied before, there is a transformation taking place. But part of that transformation is getting out some of the dross, some of the infirmity, some of that. What is we talking about here when we talk about infirmity? Something that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
That needs to get out.
Well, and that can cause issues, whether that's between you and God or between you and another person.
Or you and someone you're trying to that God's trying to partner you with.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get all this stuff out in the open. Get all anything. If you have issues, and because for me, I am a kind of person that a lot of times I have to hear something 4 or 5 times in a row, but sometimes I won't ask. And I'll just be like, that'll just all come out in the wash. Because a lot of times it will. But God's saying, no, in relationships that I'm trying to develop right now, you just got to go ahead and just be who you are, and I give you permission to just be who you are. Yeah. People will have to deal with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's been just a cleansing in our family in this process, but part of it's just been like, ugh. You know what I mean?
Even for you feel like God's been doing a lot with you as far as just the letting go of control.
Yeah. This illusion of control that you think you have. And I don't know who it was, but somebody even sent me one of Neil Vermillion's videos. I didn't watch it, but just the little thing that I read about what the video was, I was like, wow, that's all I needed right there. Because that is exactly what God was saying to me that day. I didn't even listen to the video. It was just like I knew exactly what the Lord was saying, because it was just confirming, just let go. And I have. I mean, have you seen it happen? I've just been letting go of control of stuff, because I guess as a father, I think I have to be controlling and directing, and maybe God's transforming my idea of leadership.
Yeah,
He's transforming my idea of parenting and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of and so that's all cleansing. And what are you doing? Well, you're preparing for something. You know what I mean? And I just think it's interesting that this might be a random kind of offshoot here, but we were reading this morning, and we were reading the story of Moses, and it said in the story of Moses that he was put in an ark, even though it was a basket. It says he was put in an ark, and that really jumped out at me. I was like, wow. So this is what I saw from it. I was like, an ark. Moses was put in an ark. Noah was put in an ark. And the testimony of God was put in the Ark of the Covenant. And it was like all 3 of those represent not just a safe place. It's not just a safe place. It is a place where God's own hand has put you in there. Yeah. Whatever, and His hand is over it. Yeah. His presence is just, I got this. Mm-hmm. And we already know that that's true for Moses' life. It doesn't matter how long it took. It's just like, His hand was on it. His hand was on Noah. His hand was on His presence was on the Ark of the Covenant so much that He said, even if you're a Levite and you touch this thing, you gonna die. And that happened. It's like, don't mess with the word, man. Don't mess with this. So it's like, we're not just our family, we're in the ark of life, so to speak. We're not just in a safe place. We're in a place in the presence of God, covered by His very hand. And so it's like, now why am I saying that? Listen, why do you want to escape that?
Yeah.
Escape what? To something better? What you going to escape to that's better than being covered? Take God's hand here, God's hand, you're in the ark right now. He's covered you. Consider it an ark. Why do you want to escape that? You don't.
Yeah.
If God said, here, I'm going to put you in the ark of my covenant, and I'm going to, Jesus, I'm going to cover it with a mercy seat. Mm-hmm. Oh, my Lord. Why do you want to escape that? Well, because it's dark, and there's nothing to do in here. And it's the same old thing over and over and over and over. You keep popping up the lid and throwing me in some manna, and then you close the lid on me. It's like, I want a real life. And it's like, you have no idea. You have no idea. You're not going to find a better place than this.
Yeah.
Not only that, I don't just have you with me on my side. I don't have you just with me on my shoulders. I don't have you with me even just like this. I have you with me like that. See, that might be why we keep seeing the 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
The tender mercy of God. Every time I see the 55, and it's not God's not leading me to Isaiah 55 or something like that, he's showing me I got both hands on it. One hand is the power of God to do something awesome and the anointing and all that. But two hands, that's the tender mercy of God. See, I'm holding him with two hands because I'm just giving him the tender mercy right now. He's still a little tired. He woke up a little early from his nap. That's why he does this. This is what he does before he takes a nap. But it's like God's got you in a tender place. You know, and the tender mercy of God is covering you. Don't ask to escape that. Why would you want to escape that? Yes, the reality is our hearts are pumping and beating with desires that are pulsating like, oh, we want this and we want that, particularly because it's the promise of God and you said it and you promised us that. But it's like, okay, well, I said, come on, disciples, let's go to the other side. Just because you're going through a storm right now, that doesn't mean you're not getting to the other side.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, Lord, you gave us that vision of the houses about to land. You know, that was at the end of May. It's like, Lord, you gave us that vision about just the other day about the door of the ark cracking open. You know, so we're excited. We're like, okay, come on. Oh, yay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then it just doesn't. And it's day after day after day after day happens. Okay, and what is the problem with that if you're right here? You're literally so close to God, it's ridiculous. It's like you're Peter, James, and John, and you've gone up to the mountain. You've seen Jesus, the transfiguration and everything. I mean, it's not going to get any closer. It's not going to get any better. And you want to escape that? I'm just saying that to throw out a little paradigm shift, a little maybe think about your life situation in a little different way, particularly those of you who are of the remnant of believers who have been in the wilderness and you've remained faithful and you stayed faithful. You're in that ark. You're in that place of covering where God has placed you there. You know, it says that Moses was placed in the ark, or it says, or the basket. That's what the Amplified says. It's like Noah was placed in the ark, and it was what closed the ark door? The hand of God closed that. And it's like the presence of the Lord was over the ark of the covenant. So when God is referring to your life as an ark, or those kind of symbolisms keep coming up, he is telling you that you can't be more in the bullseye of his will than you are right now. It may not be comfortable. Joseph, David, Abraham, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and that guy. I'm just saying, it's not always comfortable. Was it always comfortable for Jesus? We know for a fact that it wasn't. Because look at his life. Look at some of the things he said. Look at some of his frustrations with his disciples. We know that it didn't always feel good to be the Lord Jesus Christ himself. Mm-hmm. But that's not, see, if that's what your life is about, and that is what kind of is constantly a concern for you, then there is work to do. Because it's like, we're just, and I'm just putting myself there too, okay? It's like, because that should just be a trigger point for us to think, you know what, well, hold on a second. I'm just thinking about myself here, aren't I? That's all I'm really thinking about here. That's what I'm wrapped up in, myself and my own comforts and what's going to make my life feel good and resist everything that's going to interrupt that. Well, that is not the life of God. Biblically speaking, that's not the life of God. Mm-hmm. That's not even real life. That's not the life of an atheist. I mean, atheists have happy moments, but then they have moments that really are terrible. That's just life. Yeah. But that's what the Bible says, that God's with us through all of our troubles and all that stuff. But it's like, man, if you're in the ark of God. But with all of that said, God knows the things that are messing with us. Mm-hmm. He knows our heart's worries. He knows our heart's woes. And that's why he's covering us with his hand, but he's like literally right there with us. He can't be more with us than this right here. Like, how are you going to get any closer? I'd have to, like, get him inside my body somehow. That maybe he'd be a little closer, but that would be a little gross and a little too sci-fi. But anyway, so that I just wanted to encourage you guys with that just like, it doesn't matter when something's going to happen. If you're with God, isn't that where you want to be? Yeah. Or do you want something else? I mean, yes, we have the desires, but if we just trust the Lord He will give us the desires of our heart, but those desires of our heart won't have us. We will have them, but they won't have us. So like, okay, now that I've got it, it's my thing, and I'm going to protect it with my life. And it's like, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, maybe that's why we don't have the promise to begin with, right? No, that's not it at all. It's just it's about the timing of God and trusting Him.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's actually something that came out this morning too, because as we were reading, we read all of Exodus chapter 2, and it was just like, at the very end of it, it talked about how God heard their cries, heard the cries of the people in Egypt, of His people in Egypt, and that, you know, He was going to basically answer them.
Yeah.
But we were discussing how God basically, He had told Abraham, which was actually Abram, it was before God changed his name.
Before Isaac was even born.
He told him, hey, your descendants are going to be slaves in Egypt for 400 years.
And He's like, no, positively. Like, this is going to happen.
And so it was just like, I don't know, we were just seeing like, wow, like God knew that that's how long He had determined that they would be there. That it was like,
do you think within, you know, from years 220 to 260, people were praying for deliverance? Mm-hmm. I'm sure they were.
Yeah. And it's like, and then Moses comes on the scene, and even for him, when he was born, it was, you know, we'll just say 320 years into it, and it's not until Moses is 80 years old that God sends him back to bring deliverance for His people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it was just kind of one of those moments where it was just like, you know what?
God
knows what He's doing.
He does.
And
way ahead of time.
Yeah. Way beyond.
Look at the stuff that He told John in Revelation that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
He's God, man. You can yawn. It's all right. Human beings do that.
It's because I'm getting hungry.
Oh, yeah. Just to see the precision of God. So it's like God's got you. He knows the timing.
He does.
He knew the timing of, because we talk about that house that we're believing for, and, you know, before we even knew about this dream house, so to speak, dream house, but God's like, I've got just the place for you. He already knew.
Yeah.
It's like He already knew. And He showed it to me like a dinner on a platter. And it was just like, it was covered by one of those coverings. I guess that's used in the old days to keep it warm.
Yeah.
And then you reveal it. Mm-hmm. It was like not as soon as we found that house, but it was like at some point, God, it was just like we saw it for what it was. And God was like, see?
Yep.
Showed it to you. But He knew it was there the whole time. Yeah. You know? He knows. And it's like, it's like at the right time Moses was born, and at the right time He was sent out in ministry.
Yeah.
Jesus' birth, He was born. Yay, Jesus is born. This is amazing. This is what's getting ready to happen. Yes, it is getting ready to happen in 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let God decide the timing of things, but know that like you're in the palm of His hand. He's taking care of you.
Yeah.
Man, we've been here like 8 months. God said the waters of adversity will not touch you. And I tell you what, we've been here 8 months. My friends, that is a miracle. It is a miracle. Jesus. Every time, we have no idea what's going to come through our PayPal. We never know. Mm-mm. And man, I tell you what, we come up against quite a few times where we need something like, Lord, we need it right now. Right now. And it's just, but you literally, we can't do anything about it. It's all in God's hands. It's like you just got to step back and see what He's going to do. And boom! Man, He will just send something. He will send just enough. Or there might be like 6 or 7 offerings of like 20, 50, 35, 100 or something. And it'll literally accumulate to, oh my gosh, that's literally what we needed. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, and God just, that's been happening this entire time.
Yeah.
This entire time. The numbers don't matter to God. It doesn't matter how much you need or what's going on. He will finance what He has purposed.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. And it's just like, it's a miracle just to be like, wow, look at this. God has just got us taken care of. I mean, it just really it puts our worries and our concerns in a kind of a petty place. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, God knows that we're going to have them, so He's not looking down on you for having them. No. He's just saying, "Hey, okay, I see where you're coming from. Here's the answer. I'm going to take care of you. The waters of adversity aren't going to touch you. Are you ready to jump into this thing? Yes. But can we get in the house like within a week? It's like 8 months later. We're still not in there. Yeah. You know? We made this connection, and it's just like, okay, this is not happening like we thought either. And what all these kind of things, what does it make you do? It just makes you just fall into the arms of God. I'm just rest.
Yeah.
It's going to stay and continue to be all about you and relationship with you, nothing else.
I just thought, I just wanted to throw this out there too, which I think was just kind of crazy, was, so yesterday was the 22nd of August, and we had just been, we were talking and about just, how God we're like, well, where do you put it on our hearts a long time ago, coming to Nashville and all of that. And I was like, yeah, remember we made that, why Nashville video a long time ago. And so we go and like look it up, and we watched it, but we literally published that video August 22nd of last year. Of 2017.
And during the month of establishment.
And I really like looking back, when we first got that word last year, it's going to be a month of establishment. We were automatically like, of course, thinking like, the promise is going to be fulfilled. Woo! But God really at that time was establishing. He established us, really firmly on the home, but then that Nashville was where He really wanted us to be.
Oh, and that was during the time when He's like, ta-da, see, you found the home, that's it.
And even then, it was also like establishing us, because that's really, August was when I really started coming on.
Yep.
With the videos as well. And so it's just like looking back, we can really see that. And so I just found it so interesting that this week, honestly, has been really a week of establishing just the vision that God has for us at the home, and what He wants to, and really what He wants to do with us in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And it's like there's just a lot of pictures
stuff
that
we already knew.
Yeah, it's again, it's that establishing, like you talked
that
about,
polishing,
hearing things over and over again, and like putting making that nail flush. It's like, all right, yes, like this is what I want to do. But I just thought it was so cool.
That is cool.
That
it was exactly a year ago.
Exactly a year ago yesterday. And seriously, we've not thought of that video until yesterday. And it was just like, let's just look it up. And to have it actually be literally 1 year on the very day.
We've come a long way since then, you know. And some of the things that I was thinking about is like, when you break the mold off of something, there can be like lines, this lining around the mold that you have to sand off. Mm-hmm. Then you have to like start polishing and stuff like that. I feel like that's exactly what's been going on this week. It's like God's like, I'm breaking the mold, now I'm polishing and I'm sanding, and I'm just like, I'm getting ready to dip you. Come on, I just want to know what that means right there. God's like, I'm getting ready to dip you now, and so you can be nice and shiny. Anyway, another little movie reference. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for me right now. I'm amazed that I said as much as I did and got as far as I got.
Yeah.
He's ready to go back to sleep.
He is.
He's almost out.
But yeah, so I think that's all that we have for you guys today.
Yeah.
And we
Love
really
you guys
do
so
appreciate
much.
you and all of
blessed.
your comments. And we do read them. We haven't really gotten a chance to like say much back lately.
I know it's been a while, and I'm just
but we do just really appreciate all that you guys say and encourage us with. And so until next time, guys, we hope that you are blessed and encouraged, and we will see you soon.
All right. Yep. Bye.
Bye.